So let's begin with a question. How many versions of this planet do you think there have been over the last several billion years? How many times has it reinvented itself? Causes like meteor impacts, huge volcano eruptions, earthquakes that trigger tsunamis, continents that split apart and divide or come together. We have continents and civilizations that were lost. And we're fully aware of things like Jurassic period, the Ice Age, different traces, fossils, relics that we've found just in our timeline that give us some type of validation of all of that. But how much do we really know about everything that has come and gone, remnants of things that still are? That's some of the things we're going to explore today. So we as human beings are creatures of comfort. We like to go through life with our blinders on and assume that everything that we come into contact with in our timeline of here and now is all there ever was or all that ever will be. But we know for a fact that that's not the case. When things are unearthed, like the giants, huge reptiles that have not been classified yet, huge animals that have not been classified yet,
structures, monoliths,
our satellite imagery that is able to peer into the ocean beds now, and you can see remnant of ancient roads, buildings, where civilizations used to be. You can't deny that these things have existed once upon a time. At what age, at what evolution of the earth did it all occur? Ancient civilizations like the Mayans or Atlantis, all of this plays in together. We touch on just fragments, bare, tiny traces of things, and we think that we have a big picture of it all, but we really don't. It's minuscule in the vast hugeness of everything that was and everything that will be.
yes,
I'm sure if you ask the astronauts when they first went into the outer space to view the Earth from human eyes for the very first time, they would attest to just how tiny of a grain of sand we are in the vastness of everything that is.
it's a deep well, truly a deep well. And when you get into the theory of all time is now, then you have to ask yourself if what you're actually viewing is past. Are you able to meet points on the earth where all of that converges?
Scientifically, through carbon dating, they have become aware that areas that have had intense radiation activity will actually measure from the future instead of from the past.
Points in the universe that are ahead of us.
Right. So how are we to know for sure that a lot of these things on a timeline aren't from a future date affecting a later date,
Correct.
being realized in the moment of now?
And I just felt somebody step up. I think it might be our friend. He's saying you're right on point. That there are many wormholes to the past, to the future, to when you view time less linearly, you realize there are points in the universe that are light years behind you. There are points in the universe that are light years ahead of you. And that it is often through collision, maybe meteorological event, things like this that create the ability to transverse, is the word I'm given, those points.
Well, let's look at for instance, in the northern regions of, let's say, Pakistan and up through that mountainous area up through there is a valley that measures huge, intense amounts of radiation. Not too far from where what is called the abominable snowman was first spotted. My question is, and my thought is, we've all read the comic books, we've all seen the movies of things like The Incredible Hulk, where he was subjected to intense levels of low gamma radiation, and it changed him. Physically, internally, he had the ability to molecularly change himself during fits of emotional rage, anger, fear, etc., and so on. We've learned over the past several decades that science fiction becomes science fact.
Correct.
We're just barely catching up to things that were known, things that were done centuries, thousands of years ago, eons ago in our ancient past. We as human beings are just a small fragment of that whole story.
You know, and it's been said that a lot of these ancient civilizations destroyed themselves with their technology. And I believe that's part of what Anku has been here to help us with, is to open up our heart space and our consciousness in a way that our technology is not the only thing that controls us. It's not the only thing that rules us as a species. That we can remain connected to who we are, whether through nature, light beings, different things that are trying to show us what went wrong in the past. And I believe that a lot of those technologies were very nuclear. And I believe they created some very difficult atmospheric occurrences, is what I'm given. Can I explain it all? No. But I do know that Anku has made a point of mentioning that they are nuclear, that they are of the gamma spectrum, which also would explain many of their abilities toward what we call cloaking or invisibility. It would explain the refractions of light, transmutation,
fission and fusion,
their massive skills and ability, their ability to work with weather. There's so many things about these individuals that we want to put them in some kind of an animalistic level that is so not advanced. And I won't say everyone does, but time and again, I've heard it. Not all of the individuals that are walking in and out, as he puts it, of the earth plane at this point are what we consider old or ancient. They're not all present day. Some of them have come in through the energetics of these events, and they are quite literally, he's showing 600-700 years ahead of what we know today. So the challenge I would pose to all of us is, why do we want to put them all in a box any more than we want to put ourselves in a box of experience, existence? Why or how can we say that each and every one of them is identical to their own brother? Yes, they may have a basic structure, belief system that they've worked with, much like humanity has, but it does shift and it does change. And as quantum as this man is, I absolutely would not put it past him to be points ahead of us and being able to see how we potentially can create or avoid being those ancient civilizations once again.
All right, so here's another point to bring up for you to chew on, to ponder. Ask those questions in your head. Time and time again, we've heard where, hair samples, DNA samples have been tested, and it comes back part unknown and part mitochondrial DNA from the female genes. Why is everyone so quick to jump on the facet that Bigfoot abducted or did something to a human to cause that DNA strain? Maybe we are just remnants of their species, which is why we share that link.
And Anku is also shown, and take it for what it's worth. I can and will tell you, which I don't discuss a lot because of a number of reasons, but I am O-negative. The thing about this that he has shown as a linking factor is when they have tested the people's DNA, they have a known mother. Am I saying this correctly? A known mother, but an unknown father. When they test Rh negative blood, it has a known mother. It does not have a known fathering source. There is connection in this, people. For those of you that are RH negative, if you are experiencing extreme levels or perhaps surreal levels, unusual levels with these individuals, not only would I say that you probably are exceptionally empathic, but I would also say that that is something to be taken into consideration.
Another point to talk about on the RH negative factor was something I was reading just a few days ago, and it was talking about people that had natural immunities toward all of the things that have been thrown at us through this pandemic episode. And RH factor had a natural immunity toward it. There was a very, very small percentile that actually contracted any type of symptoms or came down with anything, just like bouncing off of the...
He's also showing that there is such a thing as an RH positive negative, and there's also RH negative negative. There is a little difference, not a lot. It is an ancient bloodline sourcing from Egypt or through that region. So I really believe all these things are connected, guys. I can't prove to you exactly how, but the further I go down the rabbit hole, the more it comes together.
So that's just something to chew on and ponder. I'm not going to make any declaration saying this is this and that is that, because honestly, nobody knows.
No.
At this vantage point from where we see the world around us right now, nobody truly knows. But there have been several keys that have unlocked several doors into the whole realm of quantum physics over the last century that have paved the way for a better understanding and a better knowing.
And I do believe within me that that open heart, that open mind, when you get into the one mind, the one heart, that is what gives you the ultimate key and access to the truth, at least about the people. And I don't believe they're trying to be greedy or stingy in what they share in that. I just feel that they understand that each individual has to be at a point of acceptance in order to absorb it, receive it. Otherwise, it throws them backwards. It doesn't propel them forward. And we go out on a limb, at least a good once a month or so in our conversations. And it creates a lot of challenge because not everyone's experience has been ours. But if these people are actually forward thinking and let's call them future, for lack of a better word, from a different point in time, why can't they be different? Why could that species have not evolved also to the degree that they don't see us as a threat that perhaps past or present species do?
All right, so let's play just a little game here. I want you to close your eyes. With your eyes closed, take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and in your mind draw up a medieval scene, King Arthur time period. Draw up a medieval scene in your mind. Let that play out for 15, 20 seconds. Well, now that you've done that, is that a fantasy in your head? Is that just your imagination running wild? Is that because you have a deep-rooted DNA connection through your subconscious?
To the dark ages, right?
When that is brought up, it triggers a memory internally. Just like people that do a repetitive job all day, they have a muscle memory that goes immediately right back to that repetitive action. Certain things that are said, certain triggers that we encounter will draw up those same things. We're all connected at the deepest core, even though globally, even in the modern day and age that we live, there are a multitude of different ethnics, a multitude of different faces on the surface. But internally at the core, there is a root that connects everything.
Yes.
No different than these vast jungles and forests where the trees are so interwoven and connected through their root structure that what happens to one tree can be felt by trees 2 miles away on the other side of the forest.
Step here. If you step here and
No
shoot me.
different than what we know now as quantum entanglement, where two items in two separate spaces, a universe apart from each other, once they've made that initial contact, they are entangled together for eternity. All right, so back to the woods. Why do we do what we do? A lot of people have asked us that. Why do you go out there and feed them? Why do you try to befriend them? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? You know, if you quit feeding them, they're going to come to your house and eat your face off.
No.
That's never going to happen. Why do we do what we do? For a better understanding, because we realize we are not the sum of the whole. It is just a very tiny fragment in everything that is, everything that has been, and everything that will be.
Mm-hmm.
But each little tiny piece of sand, each piece of jigsaw to the puzzle, helps paint and helps build that picture.
Absolutely. And it's gratitude. It's not wanting to take for granted. How many of us take our own families, friends, individuals for granted as human beings? And we know we have this weakness. And we don't want to take this for granted.
Yes,
We want them to know how much we appreciate every little ingot they've given.
So we as human beings are creatures of comfort. We like to stay inside of our comfortable box, and anything that would challenge that just really is repulsive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's also been a lot of conversation and speculation about alien intervention, Anunnakis that have intervened in our ancient past. Who knows what's valid and who knows what isn't? That's one of the great mysteries that we just keep striving to find more answers to. You know, I think one thing that we all could agree on, if we knew everything there was to know about this world that we live in, it would become a really boring place very, very quickly.
That's a lot of what entertains us is the need to know.
But I think we've dropped enough seed to give you food for thought today, different things to ponder and investigate. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many avenues that can be explored, so many rabbit holes that can be gone down. But we appreciate you tagging along today, and we'll catch you next time down the trail. Thanks.
Thank you.